Alright guys, sorry about the break in the video. So this will be part 2 of our video. I end up needing to do an update, and so now the program's working again. Alright, so what I was mentioning right when we left on part 1 was that they asked for, in each triangle, M, N, and P, are the midpoints of the sides. Name a segment parallel to the one given. So they gave us side CD, the base of that triangle, and we had to come up with the segment that would be parallel to that, and that would be segment PN. So these are parallel to each other. And then based on this, up here, not only are they parallel to each other, if M is and P and N are all the midpoints of each of these sections, then this PN, the distance from P to N, is the same distance as C to M and M to D. Because remember, the mid segment is half the distance of its base side of the triangle. So these three segments would be congruent to each other. Alright, so looking at this next one, they're asking what is parallel to QS. QS is this side. So the segment that is parallel to that is MN. And not only is it parallel, it's also equivalent in length to PS and PQ. Alright, now on the next set of problems, they're asking us to find the missing length that's indicated. So they want us to find CD. So this is what we have to find, and what we know is the mid-segment is half of the segments of the base that's parallel to it. So there's the base that's parallel to it. So CD is equal to that base, 16, divided by 2. So its length is 8. Okay? And that's what we're going to do to find these others. They ask us to find the base, this time, AC, and we know its mid-segment that's parallel to it is TS. And if TS is 4, think of it as TS is equal to the base, AC, divided by 2. Plug in what you know. TS is 4, and solve for side AC. So we need to get that AC by itself, so I'm multiplying both sides by 2. And we get the AC length is 8, which makes sense since its mid-segment is 4, the mid-segment is half of the base. So if you're finding the base, it's twice as much as the mid-segment. If you're finding the mid-segment, it's half as much as the base. Okay? So it says find KJ. KJ is the mid-segment, so we know it's going to be half of the base that's parallel to it. So KJ is equal to AC divided by 2. So KJ is equal to 18 divided by 2. So KJ is equal to 9. Sorry about the mowing noise in the background. That's my son out there mowing. All right, find the length of IK. IK is the base. SR is the segment that's parallel to it. So we set it up as the mid-segment, which is SR, is equal to the base that's parallel to that, KI, which is what we're trying to find, divided by 2. So we know what SR is. SR is 5, so 5 equals KI divided by 2. To get KI by itself, you multiply both sides by 2. So 10 is equal to KI. Now if you don't want to show all that work, it's not necessary, you don't have to. Just know that the base is twice as much as the mid-segment that's parallel to it, or going the other direction, the mid-segment is half as much as the base that's parallel to it. So you're either going to have to multiply by 2 to get the base, or divide by 2 to get the mid-segment. Okay? All right, let's do some more examples, working with those triangles. All right, we've got DF is what we're trying to find, so that's the base. And its mid-segment that it is parallel to it is VU. So the mid-segment VU is equal to the base DF divided by 2. go ahead and plug in 9 for VU. And then to solve for DF, multiply both sides by 2. On the next one, we're finding PQ, so we're finding the mid-segment. And the base that's parallel to that is SU. So the mid-segment QP is equal to the base SU divided by 2. So it's always the mid-segment equal to the base divided by 2. So QP is what we're trying to find. SU is 30, and you have to divide that by 2. So QP is 15. Sorry about my handwriting there. Down here. Now we're going to throw some algebra in the mix, because we always love to throw algebra skills in here, so we can keep our algebra skills up. We're trying to solve for x, so always set it up as mid-segment is equal to parallel, the base that's parallel. And put that means parallel. Oh, divided by 2. That's your formula that you want to be using for this. So our mid-segment is QR is equal to the base that's parallel to that. So that would be YW divided by 2. So plug in what you know. QR is 2x minus 3 is equal to x plus 9 divided by 2. So now we've got an equation that we can solve. I want to get rid of that denominator, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. When you multiply both sides by 2, you need to take that 2 times both terms over here. So we're going to have to distribute that. So it gives us 4x minus 6 is equal to x plus 9, because these two cancel each other out. And then from there, you want to get all your x's on one side. I'm going to go ahead and get them on the left side, so I'm going to subtract the x on the right. Whatever I do to one side, I got to do to the other. And then get your x's by themselves. I'm going to add 6 to both sides. And then to get x by itself, divide by 3. So we end up with x equals 5 on that one. On the next one, our mid-segment is CB is equal to the base that's parallel to that, RT, divided by 2. And then substitute everything in. So CB was x plus 19 is equal to x plus 29 divided by 2. So first things first, I want to get rid of the 2 in the denominator, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. Got to distribute it to both those terms there, so we're left with 2x plus 38 is equal to x plus 29. And then work on getting all your x's on one side. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides. And then get your x by itself. (29 minus 38) gives me a negative 9. And there you go. And that's what they're asking for you to do, solve for x. So once you get x, you're done with your equation there. I'm going to do one more example like that. I'm going to skip this one. That's just real similar to what the others were like. I want to do this one. Remember, you're solving for x, so you really only need to work with the mid-segment and the base that's parallel to it. This right here is extra information. Okay, so we don't need that. Don't let that confuse you. You just got to work with what they're telling you the midsegment and its base that's parallel to it is. So we're going to set up our equation again. It's going to be the midsegment ij is equal to the base vt divided by 2. Then substitute in what you know. So ij is represented by x minus 3 equal to vt is represented by x plus 6 divided by 2. Work on getting rid of that denominator, so you multiply both sides by 2. You get 2x minus 6 is equal to x plus 6, because we got rid of the denominator there. And then get all your x's on one side. And get them by themselves. And get x is equal to 12. If I went too fast on that, you can always rewind, pause, do what you got to do. But that's all the examples we're going to do as far as midsegments of triangles. Now I'm going to switch over to midsegments of trapezoids. This will be the last page of our notes. So the deal with the midsegment of a trapezoid theorem is it states that the midsegment of a trapezoid is parallel to its bases. So remember, with a trapezoid, the two sides of the trapezoid are considered the bases. So this is a base, and this is a base. Okay, and then it says the midsegment of the trapezoid is parallel to the bases. So here's your midsegment. Okay, and it is equal to the average of the lengths of the two bases. So we got to find the average of these two bases, and that'll be the length of the midsegment. So whenever you find the average of anything, you always have to add them together. So there's two things, so we add those two things together and then divide by how many things there are. So we would add the two bases together and then divide by 2. So in this case, FE is the midsegment of that trapezoid, and that means that that midsegment, FE, the distance from F to E, is the average of these two bases. So we would take CD plus AB, add them together, and then divide by 2. Okay, and that's how you're going to set up your equations for this. So let's use that information to help us find the midsegments of these. So find the midsegment of each of the trapezoids. So KL is our midsegment, and then here's the two bases because they're parallel to it. So it's equal to UT plus VS divided by 2. So KL is equal to 8 plus 12 divided by 2. 8 plus 12 gives me 20. 20 divided by 2, this is KL, gives me 10. Okay, let's do another. Here's our midsegment of this trapezoid. Here's a base, and here's a base. So midsegment AB is equal to base XY plus base WZ divided by 2. XY is 11, WZ is 17, so we'll add those two together and divide by 2. Adding them together, we get 28 divided by 2, and you get AB is equal to 14. So that's how you find the midsegment when you know the two bases of the trapezoid. And then here's a couple examples just where they threw some decimals in. So UV is our midsegment, GD and FE are our bases. GD is 34.6. add that to FE, which is 10.6, and then divide by 2. So 34.6 plus 10.6 gives me 45.2. And then when you divide that by 2, you get 22.6. I'm doing the same thing here. Finding TU, which is the midsegment of this trapezoid. TU is equal to basis GD plus base FE divided by 2. So substituting 30.6 for GD and 11 for FE, add those two together and divide by 2. When you add them together, you get 41.6. And you divide that by 2, you get 20.8. Last but not least, let's do a couple examples where they throw in your algebra skills. Alright, so our midsegment is VW. Our bases that are parallel are 27 and 17. So we set it up as VW is equal to HE plus GF divided by 2. Substitute in what you know. Oops, I didn't make it right there. We're substituting in x plus 10 for the VW, and HE is 27, GF is 17, and then we're going to solve. So first things first, let's go ahead and simplify what's going on the right there. I'm going to go ahead and keep bringing down this x plus 10 on the left. 27 plus 17 gives me 44. 44 divided by 2 gives me 22. And then to get x by itself, I would just subtract 10 from both sides. We get x is equal to 12. And that's what they asked us to do. They asked us to solve for x. So we are done once we solve for x. Put a little squiggly line here so we separate the work for these two problems. All right, and on our last problem here, we've got our midsegment here, GF, and our two bases of 44 and 22. So we set it up as GF is equal to MJ plus LK divided by 2. So GF, oops, I keep doing that, 10x plus minus 7 is equal to 44 plus 22 divided by 2. And we just simplify what's on the right, and then we'll work on getting x by itself. So 44 plus 22 gives me 66. 66 divided by 2 gives me 33. So we're left with 10x minus 7 equals 33. Add 7 to both sides. You get 10x is equal to 40. Divide both sides by 10, and you get x equals 4. So I kind of ran out a little bit of room there. So in that last step, I didn't write it down, but in that last step, I'm just getting x by itself by dividing both sides by 10. You get x equals 4. All right? So that's all your notes. You've learned about midpoint formula. You've learned about midsegments of triangles and midsegments of trapezoids. Your assignment number 1 is to find working with midpoints. And it is just this single page. Looks like there is these 3 problems here where you're just you got your x1, y1, x2, y2, plug that into your formula. And so add your x's together, divide by 2 to get your x coordinate, add your y's together, divide by 2 to get your y coordinate, and then you'll have your midpoint. Down here, they're asking, triangle ABC has these coordinates. D is the midpoint of AB, so this is kind of a challenging problem. You've got to, they tell you these are the points of a triangle. D is the midpoint of side AB, so D would be the midpoint of AB, and E is the midpoint of AC. So you're finding D and E using the midpoint formula. And then they want you to plot everything on the graph and find the length of DE. And so this would be using the distance formula. This last step here would be using the distance formula, which we did last week. All right. And then mid-segment homework. This first page is just strictly working with finding mid-segments of triangles. And then this second page is, and I scribbled the right side, I just wanted you to do 4 problems, finding the mid-segments of trapezoids. These first 2 are just working with numbers. These bottom 2 using your algebra skills. Okay? And that is your assignment for this week, or 2 assignments for this week. And again, next week I will be doing a project rather than doing a video and notes and all that stuff. So look for that email that explains what I'm asking for you to do for your last week of school, week 13, but this right here was week 12. Do your best, finish strong for the end of the quarter here. You've just got these last 2 weeks left, and then you're free. Pay attention to your emails as far as getting information about when you can drop off books, school books, and uniforms and instruments, all that stuff that you might have. It'll also be the same chance that you get to pick up any medicines you might have left at school from the nurse, as well as somebody will have gone through your locker, bagged everything up into a baggie, and you'll be able to pick it up there as well. At the same time you're dropping things off. So look out for those emails as to when you'll be given a chance to go and take care of that at the school. All right, your last day of school is on June 16th, and I hope you guys have a wonderful summer. Do your best on these last couple weeks of school. Finish strong, because whatever we learn in math, you're going to need for your next math class, okay? So this is why it's important for you to continue working. And I hope you all have a wonderful summer and a wonderful day, and stay safe. And hopefully I'll see you next year, and we'll figure out what we're doing next year. Have a wonderful day, guys.